kind of thing that it's a joint. The good thing about partnership, it has to be a win-win. And it's very important that it happens, and it's done as a team, jointly. And I think in the US one is hopefully will provide an example of how the partner can happen.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you. My name is Dilip Lemay, and I've been working in clean tech for a very long time. I graduated from IIT Bombay in 1964, so things in perspective a little bit. I want to talk about energy efficiency. As Senator Schumer pointed out, this is the low-hanging fruit. California has done wonders with it, so have many other countries. All of the projections of meeting the 450 ppm scenario for carbon reduction indicate that energy efficiency is supposed to get us 55 to 60% of the contribution over the next 20 to 30 years. It's not happening. Why is it not happening? Well, a number of things. First of all, there is the issue of technology. Energy efficiency technologies are not the kind of thing that Brian talked about, deploying hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. My concern is that many of us, probably many of us in this room, have ideas for energy efficiency that require much less amounts of money. My son works for Goldman Sachs, he's a partner. I asked him one time about a new technology I was financing. I said, I need $1 million. He said, don't come to me, I'll only give you $100 million plus. My question is, a lot of the technologies that they invented in this country started off on a very, very small scale. Bill Gates, when he started, he started with $40,000, $50,000. Eventually, he had to go to the venture capital market and get lots of money. My question really is, and I think this deserves some discussion, if we're going to promote energy efficiency in Big Bay, which we need to do, because that is the first fuel, it is the high priority, what can we do to finance the entrepreneurs that are working in their garages, like the people at Google did, like Bill Gates did? What can we do to encourage those guys? What can we do to help them develop the technologies that are seeds right now that have been built up to take advantage of the potential that energy efficiency offers? Because in the short term, that is our real option. I mean, all these other technologies, I mean, you talk about investing $500 million in Solyndra and that failed, and you got Tesla and all these big guys. But most of these take a long time to incubate.
Could you please ask the question?
So the question is, what can we do? What can we do to encourage these small entrepreneurs who have ideas?
So I think we got the question.
Okay, thank you.
Let one of the panel answer it. What do we do to encourage relatively small-scale entrepreneurs? There is an angel market, there's a venture capital market, but perhaps you have something to add to that, either Brian or Ted or Arun, whoever wants to field it.
I'll start. I mean, I would say the venture capital community is very well geared to take if you've got a business that takes $25 million to scale up, the venture capital community will be all over that, right? I think the question will ultimately is one of adoption, right? So I think the question that people ultimately goes to is there a market for the product that energy efficiency company is selling? And I think if you can show demand for that and that low capital bet, I have a list of like 20 people that will run here tonight if that's the answer, right? That will fund that. So I'm not worried about finding funding for low capital cost, high return ideas. What we need to do is find the technologies that are attractive, and there's a lot of different things that go into making energy efficiency. But we love energy efficiency. We love the low capital nature of it. And I think it will continue to be very attractive to people.
Ted, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think there are two parts of your question. I agree with Brian. I think the venture capital angel groups in this country are pretty darn good, and interesting technologies are getting financed. The question is, how do you get from interesting to full-scale commercialization? And often that requires a lot of money. And there's a gap, the so-called valley of death. We're not as good at crossing that as perhaps we would like to be. The second, however, is that I think we're finally getting smart around bringing energy efficiency to the residential sector and to the industrial sector. If you look at the typical industrial company, fine companies, AA credit ratings, they're probably not going to leverage up their balance sheet to make
You're on.
okay, to make I'm still off, I guess.
No, you're on.
I'm on, okay. To make an investment in the building so they get better windows or pretty disadvantaged.
You're on and off.
Well, I don't know. That sounds like my investment banking career.
Then I think you've answered the question. I'm going to take the question from there. I know Arun would like to add to that.
Sanjoy, could I just make an announcement? This is
Yes.
Kumar Shah, one of
Yes.
the organizers.
Yeah.
I know the IITians like to talk, but,
Yes.
but we all came to listen to the people on stage rather than the questioners. So could I request, please, no more than 14 minutes per question. That's it. That's a joke, but please be brief.
Yeah, thank you, Kumar. I'm such a bad moderator. Please, go ahead.
This is Rishi from IIT Bombay. I'm an analyst at Lux Research covering electric vehicles. I'll be really short. My question is, we have many options for transport. One is cars, of course, which you mentioned earlier. Another is public transport, and it's not really taking off. What can we do in America to really encourage that?
Anybody wants to field that? Arun?
Well, I think, that's a great question. I think the design of cities and urban planning is absolutely critical in trying to look at the energy issues that you pointed out. And I'm not sure that we have used energy as a way to design cities in the past. I don't think that was it was more of convenience and other issues. But you're absolutely right. We should be looking at energy aspects of transportation and other benefits and public transportation in the design and urban cities.
May I just add to that strangely enough, New York, per capita for transportation, has about 40% of the national average in terms of energy use. So obviously, one solution is to become so congested that you can only use public transportation. All right, let's take one from there.
I think yes.
You took the word.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know whether I'm on or off again.
You're on.
There are two things. One, traffic congestion, and as you said, clear is issue. The second is, and I'll phrase this a question: if the cost of gasoline were priced where it really should be, what do you think would happen to public transportation? We'd start putting a lot more money into it. And I think that within probably a decade or a decade and a half, gasoline is going to become a lot more expensive. And living in suburbs, driving as much as we do, people will change their behavior. And I hope we're smart enough to begin to lay this groundwork for making the investments in really good urban transportation systems. And if we do, what a low-hanging fruit that we'll get.
That's right. I would also add that, there is definitely you need either a price signal, as Ted talked about, or your regulatory signal. If you have one, maybe that's great. But if you have neither, I don't think it's going to move the needle. And you need either of those, or hopefully both.
Okay. Next question there. Thank you.
Sudhakar from IIT Madras. What is the ratio of cost of wind power, solar power to coal power at today's prices? Question one. Question two. Where do you get the hydrogen for hydrogen economy, and why is it cost effective? The reason I ask is I'm told that you get the hydrogen from cracking natural gas. So if you are cracking natural gas, why not just use the natural gas? What is the cost basis for hydrogen economy?
Anybody wants to hold that?
Today, the lowest cost of electricity is natural gas combined cycle in the United States. It's about 4 to 5, 6 cents a kilowatt hour. Solar at the utility scale is 15 to 20 cents a kilowatt hour at the utility scale. And of course, that's the levelized cost of electricity. And so there is a gap today. In certain parts of the country, of course, the price of electricity changes depending on the state. In certain parts, it is. It is feasible, it is viable, economically viable, and with the right kind of financing, we are seeing deployment of solar technologies. But in many parts it is not. But that's the sort of ratio that we're looking at. Coal is about 6-7 cents, 10 cents a kilowatt hour.